I'm Nick Filardi.
I'm Jason Thielbar.
Welcome to the world's second finest podcast. Today, we're talking Batbooks, which came out July 1996. As always, Amazon affiliate links are open below if you want to pick up anything that we talk about. We're talking Batman Legacy this week, which has its own trade paperback. You can pick that up on Amazon, or preferably, you can go down to your local comic shop, pick it up there. I'm sure they have a Batman Legacy trade paperback that's just sitting there collecting dust, just waiting for you.
Yeah, waiting for a good home.
Waiting for a good home. Also, these videos are up on youtube.com/Nickfil. You can find each podcast with a little bit of art. I've gotten into a rhythm where I'm pulling the art while I'm reading rather than like afterwards. So I'm like, I got a good workflow going, but I am going to have the YouTube videos a week behind the regular podcast. So if you want the cutting edge up to the minute to read pile, you can get that on your iTunes or Spotify or whatever, wherever you get podcasts. And then YouTube's got all the art. It's a week behind. All that out of the way, because we're talking about Batman Legacy today. We got a thick sode. Jason, we're jumping into Shadow of the Bat first because that's apparently the order now for this crossover.
Yeah, I mean, gotta promote, I guess.
I guess. Know? Hit me with Shadow of the Bat 53.
Shadow of the Bat, number 53, Please Care About Huntress. Written by Alan Grant. Penciled by Dave Taylor. Inked by Stan Woke. Colored by Pamela Rambeau. And separated by them people at Android Images. Bill Oakley is the letterer. Carl Critchlow is the cover painter. Jordan B. Gorfunkel is the associate editor, and Dennis O'Neill is the big guy editor. The real title is Hobson's Choice, Legacy Prelude.
And the cover is stamped with Prelude Legacy on the cover. So in like the corner, it got its own like little logo. So we are in Batman Legacy, but this is considered the prelude. This is not the first chapter.
Can I have a whole prologue?
2 issues of prologue.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
We got to get into it.
So we begin with Huntress being a 90s badass and torturing some guy for information. But don't worry, that torture is justified because this guy has too many piercings on him, and we all know what that means. Huntress wants some info about some drug deal, crime deal. I wasn't entirely sure about that, but she gets the info that she wants, hurts this street tough with a grappling, hurts this street tough, and then grappling hooks away, as was the style at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Which I just, small aside, always enjoy in 90s comic whenever it's just like a superhero does something, and then it's just like splash page of them with like, you know, swinging away off of some unseen thing that they hooked to. Love it. It
wouldn't be as dramatic if she like tortured this guy and then was like, and now I'll casually walk away.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, what do I do? It's just, awkwardly walking out. Back in the Batcave, Nightwing and Alfred are wondering how to tell Robin that the clench wasn't actually cured and he might die at any second. Batman just straight up tells him. And, you know, he's got a right to know. And you know what, Bruce? You're right. And in this scenario, with your limited grasp on human emotion, it's actually kind of helpful. You know, like Tim does deserve to know. So like, all right. And Tim is unsurprisingly despondent being told that, yeah, you know, that thing that you almost died from, well, it's still in you and we don't know when or if it might ever pop off. And it's even worse than what it was before. So, you know,
good luck, buddy.
He's not feeling good, you know. But Batman flashes back to some more information that he had gotten from Azrael, which I have found funny throughout this whole thing, that anytime Batman does a video call with Azrael, he's on like the fucking 200-inch screen in the Batcave. It's like, Don't you have anything smaller? Does it really need to be on IMAX? Like,
there's a grid. It's like literally like 8 televisions. Like that's how big his head is.
yeah. It's like, good, just one of them. And we get an appearance from Oracle, and I say, fuck yeah, Oracle. But she doesn't have any good news, according to what she's found from the results of the dead former Mayor Kroll, is that the virus is unpredictable. It can lay dormant for who knows how long and then come back with a vengeance. And it being 1996, I'm like, guys, is this supposed to be AIDS? Is this supposed to be HIV/AIDS? Sort of. And then
we talked about when we had the original Batman Contagion issues about how like we're not only are we in the we're starting to talk about AIDS era, but also like Outbreak came out and like that was a whole giant thing in the 90s. And, so I feel like it's just like, I don't know, in the culture of we're all going to die from disease.
Yeah. I guess that also is like the thrust behind like most of like David Cronenberg's movies, who, I do love David Cronenberg. So yeah. But then I also made a note that I'm like, am I going to comment on this is this HIV/AIDS thing further? No.
Yeah, we're not getting into that at all.
I'm not.
Stay focused. We're going to get to Batman.
Yeah, not qualified, not going to, Anyway. Well, now that they have some information from Oracle, some information from Azrael of where to look for the cure, it's in the Sudan, in the middle of the Sudanese desert. Alfred starts booking flight plans and flight paths, and Nightwing checks in on Tim, and as he's daydreaming about dying of the clench on his wedding day, which all right, yeah, like I've never been told that like I might die, so I don't know what kind of weird things I'm gonna picture in my head. Seems pretty dark, dude.
Seems pretty dark.
As they're getting ready to go, Robin tells them that he's coming with them. If he's gonna die, it might as well be on this trip. And Batman agrees. If they find something, then he's right there. You know what, Tim? Good for you. Gotta pick yourself up and do something. It's going to be collecting dust in the Batcave. And now back to everyone's favorite part, the reason why we even read Shadow of the Bat, politics. Ooh,
yes.
Man. We're in a city council meeting, and some douchebag council member wants to round up all the survivors of the clench and jail them, concentrate them in an area, if you will, so as to keep everyone else in the city safe. New Mayor Grange isn't really down for it, and Jim goddamn Jordan is so fully against it that he lets this asshole know if he speaks about it outside the council chambers, he'll arrest him.
Yeah, Jim Gordon's not taking it. He's not taking it.
Yeah, Jim Gordon ain't taking this shit. Bruce stops by Wayne Tech, and Lucius Fox is like, holy shit, dude, where have you been? Like, your name is on the business, and like, I need you to sign all these papers. And before he can finish, Bruce is like, hey, listen. I'm just going to hand you some papers. You control the company anyway. I got to go to Europe for like a thing, and Lucius is like, what thing? And he's like, well, a gentleman never tells. And Lucius is like, oh man, I wish I had your problems. What is it? Is it that Madeline Corbett? She's been by a bunch. And Bruce is like, no, what? Like, creepy.
I loved that moment because Madeline Corbett, if the reader can't remember, this was many pods ago. The last time we saw her, she had this interaction with Tim Drake where she was like outside Wayne Manor, where he's like, what are you doing? And she's like, you're not the boss of me. And like ran into the woods because she's like stalking Bruce Wayne. And like, I thought that we were just going to abandon Madeline Corbett, but apparently no. It's been months without anything from her, but apparently Lucius Fox knows about Madeline Corbett hiding in the bushes.
Yeah, she's she don't give up. She does not give up.
She don't give up. I hope that it pays off in some way down the line. But anyway, continue with the synopsis.
Penguin gets a call from the DA, who's in his pocket, giving him the skinny on what went down in the council meeting. Now, Penguin isn't exactly sure, like, how we can make money off of this yet, but I'm sure he'll figure something out. And now we're dockside in some warehouse where some goons are moving loot in a big old fishing net. Always love seeing loot in a big old fishing net. With plans to flip it for drugs that they'll then flip again for money. Which, okay. I'm not a criminal, so I don't know. If not for Huntress, using her handheld crossbow, she sends the net full of loot just crashing down on most of the goons. Then gets some good punching and kicking in, but not before one of the goons tries to get the drop on her, gun drawn as she's otherwise caught defenseless. But don't worry, Robin is here to put a stop to that. And to ask, the reason why Robin's there is to ask on Batman's behalf if she could fill in for protecting the city while they're all away on plague business. Huntress is wondering if Bats didn't ask himself because he's intimidated by a strong woman. And listen, Huntress, sure, he has issues with the ladies, but he just doesn't think about you in that way. All right, you know what, Huntress, I'm not going to get into it with you. It's anyway, she'll do it, but only on the condition that Batman personally has to thank her once all of this is over, which seems like a hard bargain to Robin's ears, which was that was a very funny interaction to me, that Robin's like, oh God, I don't know if I can convince him to do that.
Yeah. Robin trying to navigate this dicey this social situation between adults, and Robin is the 16-year-old go-between, and he's like, I don't know, I guess I could ask him.
It's yeah, I don't want to make any promises, but all right. Well, Huntress accepts the job because it's good exposure, or it's an internship. I don't know how the vigilante market works. I don't know if there's some best practices stuff or whatever. Robin, with this sort of Damocles of the clench hanging over him, tells Huntress just in case that it was good knowing her, in case he bleeds out of his eyes and dies. And she's like, why are you being so serious, kid? She's confident that the only thing that's going to happen in Gotham is justice. Which I was just like, oh man, fuck yeah, Huntress. Okay, I'm on board. That was cheesy as hell. I'm on board. That's great. And I just wanted to say that the last panel is just Robin just kind of being like, yeah, hey.
Justice. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah. That's the end of Shadow of the Bat number 53. So what'd you think? What'd you think about Huntress? Do you care about Huntress yet?
Jason, I don't care about Huntress, and I don't care about this issue. It's it's just one big grab bag of just we're setting things up, but we haven't actually set anything up yet. And so you get a little bit of politics, and you get a little bit of Madeline Corbett and Lucius Fox, and then you get a little bit of Huntress. And you can tell that this thing is just this potpourri nonsense that isn't going to go anywhere when you get a single page of a mugging that's happening with one guy in an alley and then two guys trying to mug him, and then they get bataranged and then hung upside down, and the guy calls in a report in the mugging. We don't even see the hero. It's so insignificant that it's just literally a page fill, because they were like, fuck, we wrote 21 pages and we need 22,
Yeah.
I just feel the issue's fine. It's fine. It feels like the start of something that hasn't actually started yet. It's fine.
Yeah, I always wish they and I know that the point of a lot of these crossovers, at least from a commercial perspective, is to
boost the sales of Robin and Catwoman.
Yeah, and to promote, oh hey, well maybe more people will be willing to check out Catwoman if we tie it into this Batman story, and hopefully some of them will get hooked, and
sure,
I get that, but there's a part of me that's just man, it would have been really cool if you could just have a 64-page special, 2 issues, and just have all the setup everything in there so it flows right in instead of set up and then it's the end of the issue because you only have like 22, 24 pages because you ads and stuff like back then. You know?
Yeah. If it wasn't Huntress fighting people at the docks, there wasn't even any fighting in this. It feels like that was tacked on just to be like, oh shit, we need something to happen. Then it's like, oh well, all right. Also, can we back up to the start of the issue, the opening scene where Huntress has an arrow tied to a guy's nose ring, and she's gonna like shoot it and rip his nose off, and that's how like she's torturing him, and then she shoots it, and it sticks into the fence, and she's like, hang around until the cops get here, but like, it's just a line, like a fishing line on an arrow stuck in the fence tied to the guy's nose ring. It's like he can just walk up and pull the arrow out. Like, I don't like what are we doing here?
Well, or like I've never really had I've never had piercings myself, but like, you know, known plenty of people who have, and like, you know, plenty
just
of
take the nose ring out and walk away.
Yeah. Or sometimes like you just sort of deal with it. Like, you know, you jump into a mosh pit or whatever at like some like hardcore show and you're like, oh fuck, I forgot to take out my plugs or take out my ring. And it's like, yeah, it hurts, but it's not like, I don't know. Like, I think there's this,
the whole thing felt like there was a disconnect between how Alan Grant envisioned it in the script and how it was actually drawn. Because like, even though this whole issue is drawn really well by Dave Taylor, it felt like there was a disconnect. Like this moment was supposed to be exciting and dangerous, and it's just fucking not, you know?
Yeah. It didn't seem like, I was going to comment on that because I did like the art, but it didn't seem like that there was like a whole lot for him to do. Like, not even just like action wise, like there just weren't even too many like sort of set pieces of.
Right. It's like there's a whole splash page of Azrael swinging around a fire sword, but that's only on like the bottom quarter of the page because they need to just dump a bunch of lore onto us. And then it's like he's drawing like Bruce talking to Azrael in the Batcave, and it's the same 3 panels, and they just swap the text. And then the next couple panels are just maps of the Sudan, and then like, you know, a panel of just Bruce's face in darkness. And it's like, you can tell that Dave Taylor is just sitting here like, there's nothing for me to draw. There's nothing for me to sink my teeth into in this issue.
Yeah. I did wonder though, if, cause I just checked the year that it came out, but the whole thing with like, the nose ring, like ripping out the nose ring.
Yeah.
I was like, is that like, and even when I was typing up the summary, I was wondering to include it in because I always just think of Airheads. Anyone remember Airheads?
Yeah, totally.
Or that scene when Chris Farley is like the bumbling cop and he's searching for Brendan Fraser's character's like girlfriend in a club, and he gets like accosted by some guy who has like a nipple piercing. And he just like rips it out. It's his like, I'm a badass moment, you know? I was just kind of like,
yeah.
Like
that was Airheads was 2 years before this comic book. So potentially Alan Grant
maybe
caught Airheads on television or like rented the VHS or whatever. And is like, I'm going to do that in Batman.
Yeah. Hey man, fucking loved Airheads. Airheads is great. Airheads
is
dumb.
Great. Does not translate to Huntress very well, but I appreciate the effort.
Honestly, what kind of music do you think Huntress really listens to as she's like a substitute teacher in like a, you know, $100,000 supercar?
Right,
you know?
Right. I don't know. That person doesn't exist, Jason.
She's listening to hair metal is what she is. That's what she's doing.
Fair enough.
She's drowning in Aquanet.
Should we jump into Batman?
Yeah, I care about Batman.
Batman 533, written by Doug Munch with art by the legendary Jim Aparo, with the legendary Bill Sienkiewicz on inks, colors by Greg Wright, Seps by Android Images, Todd Klein on letters, edited by Denny O'Neil with Jordan B. Gorfunkel as associate editor. The cover is drawn by our regular artist, Kelly Jones. It shows Batman about to punch a guy out who's wearing desert clothing in front of a brick wall with a symbol behind him that was related to the clench, I think. But I'm already that whole story of Batman Contagion is already quickly fading in my brain. So I don't know.
Yeah, it didn't stick around too.
Before we jump in, I just want to say Jim Aparo with Bill Sienkiewicz on inks is fucking great. Like, this issue visually is perfect, I think.
Oh yeah, I said out loud to nobody when I was reading the credits, because I was, in the app flipped through the first page and I didn't know Kelly Jones wasn't drawing it. And I was like,
yeah,
oh shit, it's not Kelly Jones. And then I see that, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like,
Jim
like,
Aparo,
all right, Bill Sienkiewicz, can you just do like just ink a random issue of Batman?
Yeah, so like Jim Aparo was a 70s Batman artist for a long time. He drew famously Death in the Family, where one of the Robins is murdered. Which one was that?
Jason Todd.
There you go. Where people had to like call in and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, so they hated him.
They hated Jason Todd. Anyway, so you have like this legendary artist whose art has always been very, very clean. And then you have Bill Sienkiewicz doing what Bill Sienkiewicz does, which is like this very grungy like look. And the two like meld in such a way where it's like, it's interesting because you get to see the Jim Aparo piece and you get to see the Bill Sienkiewicz piece, and they're both extremely distinct from each other, but they go together very, very well.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah, it is.
So we kick off with Batman, Nightwing, and Robin flying in a jet to the Sudanese desert, where they will begin to look for answers to the clench. They parachute out of the plane and purposely crash it into the desert, like that one YouTube guy who went to jail for this exact same thing. They find an entrance to an underground bunker with a map provided by Azrael. They fight the guards, and Batman throws a guy into a bonfire, and the dude just runs around on fire for a while. Then he stops running, and then I guess he's just burning. Anyway, the Batman does not kill. Robin was all amped up about punching the hell out of people on account of him having the dormant clench. Dude, relaxing might help you not clench. They get inside and figure out a puzzle with bottles that have astrology signs on them, and then that turns into a map of the labyrinth. The whole thing reeks of Dungeons and Dragons. They make their way through. Yeah,
I'm sorry. I just wanted to in that scene. My favorite part was like Nightwing basically like telling Robin, no, let him cook.
Yeah, right. Pretty much. Yeah. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
So they figure out the map. They get through the labyrinth. They make their way through out, and it exits into another part of the desert. There's a small tent city around an elevator shaft, and our Bat family tries to sneak in, but they're immediately spotted by someone who has not been revealed yet. But it could only be him. Batman's suspicion was correct. Meanwhile, Penguin pushes for a quarantine of clench survivors, hoping to make some chaos and a little bit of profit. He leans on the new DA who is in his pocket. Huntress, please care about Huntress, beats the heck out of the new DA in order to, convince him not to vote for the quarantine. It isn't a rigorous debate until someone gets pistol whipped. Jason, what'd you think of Batman 533?
I really dug it. I really, I honestly like, and like, I guess we'll do the like somewhat big reveal of like, who the person is, but I kind of like how
we got to wait because that reveal happens in Detective Comics. We got to wait to get there.
Yeah. But I also enjoyed the little bit of my two favorite scenes. There's a scene of Let Batman Cook.
Yeah.
And Robin at his like Fight Club best, nothing left to lose.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, this issue had so much momentum through it. Even when it slowed down, even when it was Batman like deciphering the bottles and then looking at the markings below them and then putting them in order. And Nightwing's like, Robin, let him cook. He's driven. He needs this. Let him do it. Even then, when the whole thing slowed down, I was still like, fuck yeah, let's go. Fuck yeah.
Oh yeah, me too. Me too. Especially like, desert, like in the middle of a desert cave, like on everyone on their knees, and you're in this like mysterious. I don't know. It was just very. And I mentioned a lot, and then we'll talk about it when we talk adventures. But like, it was very like adventure story,
Absolutely,
just like
absolutely,
just like Johnny Quest, Tintin sort of, kind of shit that like I just eat up. I just love.
The only thing that gave me pause was that they get into the labyrinth, they go through the labyrinth, and then they just pop back out in the desert. I'm like, you couldn't see the fucking oil rig elevator shaft and the tent city from the fucking plane? Like, you guys didn't think start there, maybe?
I immediately thought of that scene in The Simpsons where Marge becomes a police officer, and there's the montage of like the obstacle course, and she's struggling to like climb the wall, and like Chief Wiggum's like, women can never seem to find the door, and everybody else is just like walking through the door that's in this wall in the obstacle course.
So yeah, same energy here happening with the Bat family.
Yeah,
they're struggling to find the door.
Yeah, and do you think that like maybe like Robin and Nightwing, like maybe like Robin mentioned it to Nightwing afterwards, like, hey, Dick, but like, did I saw the oil rig from like the plane? Like, why did we? He's like, shh, hey,
you know what? Let him have this.
Yeah, let him have this. Okay, he's very upset because like you might be dying. Just like, he just needs just a little. Just let him solve his puzzles. Okay,
just let him solve his puzzles.
Yeah, he's got to feel useful.
Issue was an absolute banger.
It was great. It was really good.
You want to get into detective? Feel this momentum that we're building?
Yeah, let's keep it going.
Detective Comics 700 officially kicks off Batman Legacy with a part 1 header. It is no longer just the symbol and a prelude. It is a full header with the eyes of Ra's al Ghul behind them.
Uh-oh.
It is written by Chuck Dixon, pencils by Graham Nolan, inks by Scott Hanna, colors by Gloria Vasquez, seps by Android Images, letters by John Costanza, edits by Scott Peterson, with associate edits by Darren Vincenzo. It is our same regular team. So the Batman issue has rotated teams, but Detective has not. The cover is Batman, bloodied and battle damaged, sword in hand, as in the desert, surrounded by goons. Similar vibes to Batman Adventures 17, which is also inspired by Neil Adams' legendary Batman 244 cover, which is, kind of similar. It's Ra's like standing over Batman, a shirtless Batman in the desert as like a saber stuck into the ground. It's a very iconic cover. It's very good. Batman Adventures 17 cover was Batman with a cutlass on a horse in the desert, surrounded by goons who are ready to get him. Yeah. It's if you're the one takeaway from this that I've come around to looking at Detective Comics 700 is if Batman's fighting Ra's in the desert, you fucked up if you didn't make him shirtless and he doesn't have a cutlass. Like, he needs those two things to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, or else it doesn't really count. It's like getting champagne from like if the grapes aren't from the Champagne region of France. Like it's just like
right, exactly,
sure,
exactly.
It's chemically the same. But
I guess he's fighting Ra's, but I can't see his nipples, so I don't know. Why even bother?
Yeah.
We jump in. Ra's decides to fucking murder all of them instead of like monologuing or anything. Letting Batman buy time to figure out a way out. He's like, no, murder all of them. He tells Talia to look away. The detective must die because he was not a fit mate for her after all. Too righteous, too pious. They talk as they move down the elevator, him and Ra's and Talia. Batman and Robin mop up some goons and try to go after them, climbing down the elevator shaft. Nightwing, lagging behind, gets clipped by a bullet and kind of falls acrobats down the elevator shaft. They get separated. Batman and Robin are now being chased through hallways by guys on dirt bikes with AKs. Nightwing overhears Raish monologuing about the underground ancient wheel of plagues that has been digitized and built into a computer model for Raish to decipher and engineer a plague similar to the clench. It's a lot.
Very, very forward thinking of him,
Yeah. Like, well, but also it's like he has this one-off line about how, this ancient civilization somehow figured out recumbent DNA and stuff. And I'm just like, oh my God, what are we doing? Anyway, the original, he needs a MacGuffin to give him the disease, basically. And this is it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The original clench was an unfinished version stolen from Raish by the St. Dumas Knights. As always, Raish wants to kill literally everyone in the world and have his daughter and her new beloved repopulate the earth. He orders his main servant, Ubu, to destroy the place since the digital version of the wheel is done. Batman comments that this is a different Ubu than he's seen before, and just as Ubu opens a large stone door flooding the caves, Batman and Robin get caught in it. They're flushed outside in the pools and stuff. There's a great bit where they're in this silo that's filling with water, and they're like, oh, we're gonna get crushed to death. And Batman seals the door on the top of the thing, and then the water builds pressure in the air, and they blow the top off it, and they get out. It's great.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Nightwing, still nursing a gunshot wound, decides that it's a great idea to get in a sword fight with Ra's al Ghul. Talia is betrothed to this new Ubu, but she still desires the Batman. Before Raish kills Nightwing, Batman and Robin step back in. They've recovered. They're back down the mine shaft, whatever. Batman swords fights Raish. Robin goes up after Talia up the elevator shaft. Nightwing just decides to kind of lay down for a minute because he's still recovering from a gunshot wound and was just in a knife fight with someone who's been living for 4,000 years. Raish, Talia, and Ubu get away. Ubu laughing at them as he removes his mask to reveal that he is Bane. Also, Catwoman's locked in the basement for some reason and is going to drown. Jason, what'd you think of Detective Comics 700?
Honestly, I really liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I love the sort of surprise appearance of Catwoman, like, because I loved her little yoo-hoo, Mr. Ghoul. Did you forget about me? I'm like Selena Kyle is definitely like my ideal woman. Someone who's funny, who can kick my ass.
Good. Yeah.
And is a really good thief. It was like the nonstop action of it that like I just really, really enjoyed, and I honestly didn't appreciate the reference to the Neil Adams cover and Batman being shirtless.
Oh yeah, man.
I was like, okay, Batman's shirtless now. I'm like, I understand taking off the cape, but like, why'd you take off your shirt, dude? But when they pop out of the container filling with water, he's just like completely shirtless, like getting ready for battle.
When I was trying to find exactly what issue number that was, because I in the back of my mind I knew about it from when we talked about the Batman Adventures issue 17, because that's a reference to that cover as well in that moment. I did some Googling and I found this interview with Neil Adams where he talks about that cover, and apparently when you look at that cover, it's really dramatic, right? But they're holding up Batman's like suit, but he still is also wearing pants, and they're holding up the pants. So there's two pairs of pants on that cover. And like the reason is because Standards and Practices didn't want Batman to even suggest that there was a time when Batman was naked in this comic book, So they couldn't do bare thighs. Like Neil Adams was gonna have him in his trunks only, like no tights at all, no shirt, no pants, just tights, boots, and belt, I guess, and mask.
Yeah.
But they were like, no, you can't do that. So he was like, so I switched it, and they told me that no one would ever notice it. And then he was like, and based on the reaction for the cover, nobody noticed it. So there it is.
And I do want to give special mention to, and I don't know if this happened to you too, but like as soon as there was the Bane being Ubu reveal, like I just immediately like heard in my head, "It's good to see you alive, Batman. I trust that we will not meet again." Before, I'm just like, it's like, you know what? Like, all right, I got to give it up to Tom Hardy. I got to give it up for
just permanently in your brain.
Yeah, like what? Because it was just such a weird choice to have his voice be like that. But I'm like, you know what? It fucking works, dude. It works.
It fucking works. The other thing that I really appreciated in that moment was like, I don't really know what Bane looks like without his mask. Like he's just a big guy, like visually. So in order to make this reveal work, he's wearing an Ubu mask, and then he pulls it off to reveal he's wearing a second mask underneath. Which is extremely funny.
Oh yeah, it's great. I love the idea of it's mostly just like the artist is like, I'm not gonna just like draw them getting out of their costume and then getting
back into the next. Yeah.
Have to like.
What are we, Bruce Timm in the holiday special with the page that got cut from Batgirl changing in a crowd?
Yes,
we can't do that.
I love that long explanation. What are we? And then followed by paragraph.
But yeah, I really like this issue. But Jason, here's the thing. We talked about the 3 regular issues, but this Batman Legacy, it just keeps rolling on.
Yeah, nonstop action.
So there's two more books. Catwoman 36 is part 2, and Robin 32 is part 3 of Legacy. I'm going to get into those very, very quickly because they do fall out of scope for the pod, but they might be relevant to the story. I did read them. Here is my write-up. Spoiler alert. I wasn't really happy with them. Here we go. Catwoman 36 is part 2. Robin 32 is part 3 of Legacy. Both can be pretty much ignored. Catwoman gets out and frees 2 other people from drowning in Ra's prison. She doesn't like them, but she needs them in order to get free. Once they get up top, they fight. Once everybody's all free, it's pretty boring and not relevant. I don't even know who this other character is that she's fighting and what the third guy is even functionally there to do. Batman, Robin, and Nightwing talk to Oracle, who tells them where Ra's is going to be in the helicopter and where he might be after the helicopter lands: Paris, Edinburgh, and Gotham. She learns that from, quote, doing nothing but sweeping the nets for info on your mystery man for 24 hours, end quote. Also,
that was one of my favorite parts.
Another guy gets arrested on a boat, but none of it makes any sense because it's just a bunch of Catwoman nonsense. Like, I don't have any point of reference for any of this shit. And that's how the issue ends. Well, Robin 32 has Nightwing. No, we're going. We're going. We cannot hesitate on these people.
No breaks.
Robin 32 has Nightwing and Robin in Paris trying to track down Ra's and how he'll gas the population with the plague. Nightwing takes a back seat, and Robin teams up with a tracker who just loves killing. They track Ra's goons to the Louvre. Robin fights goons in the museum while Nightwing fights goons in the sewers underneath. They shoot like so many fucking bullets into priceless, irreplaceable art. Good job, idiots. Robin is extremely replaceable, but a Claude Monet is not. Put your bullets in Robin. The tracker shows up and then kills everyone. Great job, Robin. Freaking idiots. Everyone's dead, including the art. And then everybody just goes back to Gotham. That's it. Jason, what do you think of Catwoman 36 and Robin 32?
Well, I didn't read much of Robin 32, but I did read all of Catwoman 36, and
my condolences.
Just the casual making fun of this guy being an alcoholic the whole time.
Oh my god.
her like friend, I was like, oh, geez, that kind of stuff didn't age well.
The whole book doesn't age well. It has the single worst drawing of Robin that I've ever seen in any book. And like, I don't want to drill down on this, but I feel like I want to drill down on this because it fucking bothers me.
Yeah,
It's wrong on so many levels. So if you're watching on YouTube, I'm just gonna put the one panel of Robin on the page, right? So he's reaching towards the right, and there's a character in the foreground. There's Nightwing in the foreground talking to Robin, right? And so Robin just literally has to stand there. Jim has to draw just Robin standing there talking to Nightwing. And instead of doing that, Robin's right arm is outstretched, so his fingertips are touching Nightwing in the foreground. So it like flattens the image and creates this tangent that's like really fucking weird, where it's like he's like kind of touching him, but not really. And then his left arm, Robin's costume, has these like little bumps, like it's like armor or smoke pellets or something on the sleeve, right? So he's got a green sleeve with like these 5 repeating pellets down the arm. And then he's got a green glove. And they decided to draw his left hand so that it's pellets down the arm immediately into fingers. And it's just like, he looks like he has 10 fingers on his left arm. It's fucking insane. And then they deep shadow his crotch the entire time. Deep black shadows. It doesn't make any sense. Like the whole shadow, the shading on his entire body doesn't make any sense at all. It's like he drew, like Robin sat down and just blacked out his crotch for no reason in real life. Like it's a drawing on his junk instead of being just like folds on a piece of like fabric.
Well, because you got to draw attention to the crotch.
Yeah, you have to, Jason, because you fucked up the drawing of the face too. He's like making this insane expression. Jason, it might be the worst thing I've ever seen in a DC comic book. I hate it, Jason. I hate it so goddamn much. I usually like artists get the benefit of the doubt, and like, you know, everybody's on their creative journey, and I like to cut a lot of people some slack. But
yeah, deadlines and whatnot. And,
whatnot, whatever. I get it. And it's a scene of talking heads. It's hard to make that shit work. But like, I think the thing that makes me be like, no, fuck this, I'm going after this guy, is that everything in this Catwoman run is so bad. And it's so consistently bad. And my dumbass teenage self consistently bought Catwoman, and like I feel like I really like Catwoman. I like Catwoman the character, and they just give it to Jim for like 100 issues, and it's so bad, and it's such a missed opportunity. And Jason, it like every time we find ourselves like heading back into a Catwoman issue, I like mentally have to steel myself before jumping in. It's always the fucking worst.
I always thought that Jim Ballant was one of those guys in the 90s that like got popular because he's really good at like flashy splash pages and like sort of pinup like things. Yeah. And that's also seems like just sort of like as an artist, all he's really interested in doing, which is fine, but it doesn't make for good comic books.
Yeah, it's like, it's like you ask him to just draw Nightwing sitting in a chair, and it's like you end up with the weirdest fucking drawing I've ever seen from Jim Ballant when you do that. It's like startling. It's startling because it's like, oh my God, I don't think this man has ever sat in a chair. Like, I don't think this man has ever stood up straight. It's madness. It's madness.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like someone who just learns how to play guitar solos and is just like, I don't need chords.
Yeah, right, exactly. Fucking A.
It's a good rap.
So anyway, those issues sucked ass. What do you think, Jason?
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't want to like. I am a lover of like artwork and like art, like and like even the the kind of stuff they hang in the Louvre. Like, love to go to the Louvre one of these days. Seems like a really cool place. But there's also a part of me that's just like, I don't know, fuck the Louvre, you know.
So when Robin decided to front flip over a priceless sculpture in order to absorb the gunfire into the sculpture and then kicked the sculpture on top of the goons, you were like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it makes some new shit, Or hey, the Louvre.
Literally irreplaceable. Jason, you can't just make another Monet once it's filled with bullet holes. It's fucking gone. Like,
well, I'm just wondering why the French government isn't protecting the Louvre enough. Like, they should have some like
clearly
some French superheroes posted at like different corners,
Clearly.
Yeah, I'm a solutions man. Right?
I mean, you say that, but the tracker was the one who killed everybody and stopped it. Like, the French guy who's like Robin was like, hey, I heard about this. And he's like, cool, I'll fucking handle it. And Robin's like, I'm going to be there too. And I'm like, oh my God, Robin, please.
Yeah, Tim, you're fucking this up. You're fucking this up.
Yeah.
So, you know what I forgot to mention, and I think they brought it up in Batman 700 that I actually thought was kind of cool, because we talked about before of how, because we're just like speed running through these issues, because like, it's every other week for all the books that like came out once a month.
Yeah.
I think we forget that like the Tim Drake Robin is still relatively new. And so when it was revealed that like this was Ra's al Ghul, like Robin was like, oh shit, this is like a big deal. He like turned to Nightwing. He's like,
right.
Am I ready for this? This is like one of like the heavy hitter guys. And like Nightwing's like, yeah, you're in the shit now, buddy. Like, this is
right.
And I just thought that was a cool little like, oh wait, like Tim Drake being like, oh man.
Yeah. It was, I wish we had more moments like that, like through his eyes, where I guess the other thing is that like Tim Drake comes across very whiny all the time about everything. Mm. So when it is a heavy hitter like Ra's and he's like, oh, can I handle this? It's like the 60th time I've seen him be like, I don't know about this. And it's like, Nightwing being there to be like, yeah, you're in the shit now, like, helped that moment. But I wish that they pulled those punches a little more for the big hitters and just for the big hitters, like had more of a clear roadmap for how they were going to handle Tim Drake a little bit more. But you're right. That moment was like real fucking good.
Yeah. Which sounds like, oh, wait a minute. This guy's like 500 years old.
Yeah, right. I'm going to get my ass kicked.
Yeah.
Nightwing's like, yeah, you probably are.
Yeah. Well, you thought you were going to die anyway, kid. So, hey.
Yep. So, well, here you go. Let's head into Batman Adventures 10.
Oh, hell yeah. Batman and Robin Adventures, issue number 10. Ty Templeton is your writer. Rick Burkick is your artist. Lee Lowridge is your colorist. Tim Harkins is your letterer. Darren Vincenzo is your associate editor. And Scott Peterson is the editor who wears the big pants. I don't know why I wrote that, but I'm keeping it in.
His pants are notoriously huge.
Yeah.
No, I don't know if that's true or not.
Never gave up on that side. I'm starting that rumor. I'm comfortable with starting that rumor.
that Scott Peterson wears Jenkos? Is that the rumor?
Yeah. He's never given up on him. Never given up on him. Blood of the Demon. We are dropped in medias goon beatdown in a classic alley full of crime that Gotham is so fond of. Batman and Robin just blithely beat their way through these lovely goons. And there's one they haven't concussed to unconsciousness yet. And this mook is flipping out a knife in the shadows, ready to get the drop on them. But no worry, the only woman that Bruce has never been awkward around is here to save him. Talia, you over-serious badass. Hello again. She knows her alpha man doesn't need her help, but what better way to make an entrance? That's love, folks. That's love. As Robin is tying up the goons, Talia gives Bats the skinny on her father's plans. Well, her father, Ra's al Ghul. And, if you're listening to this show and you don't know who her father is when I say Talia, I don't know how you even made it this far.
Right. We've been talking about Ra's al Ghul this entire time.
Yeah. His scientists have mutated an airborne strain of a virus that boils your brain inside your own skull. And I just want to make a special note of the panel with Robin exclaiming, "Good Lord." I just love things that could be like curse words in the 50s. And also his facial expression in that panel was just like perfect. Talia can't abide her father releasing this here mutated virus and killing most of humanity. And she needs Batman to come with her post haste, but has no room for the boy, which Talia, that's some top tier shit you're giving the lad. Very good. I love it. Robin attempts to protest, but Batman tells him that Talia is right, that this is just like the Roscoe Rollins case last week. Very quickly, we are away to Talia's goddamn perfect adventure comic prop plane with a horizontal prop up front. And, I'm deciding right now, all other plane designs should be made illegal. That should be the only plane.
Jason, I don't know how this thing flies. It's a pontoon boat that's also a helicopter. I'm like, I don't know. Whatever. It's fine. It looks visually great, but it's very silly.
You know what? I'm sure you could force some people much smarter than me to design one that works.
Yeah.
And she explains to her Batlove where the lab is, on an island in the remains of an ancient leper colony. And I'm just like, yes, inject all of that into my veins, please. Yeah. An ancient leper colony. Sure.
We're adventuring with a capital A at this point.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yes. Talia gives Batman a big smooch and tells him not to hurt her dear old papa. And in a line I'm sure Bruce has practiced in the mirror, he replies, "I'll do what I can, but it's up to him." Then he just dive bombs out this fucking plane, deploying his Batwing glider. And it looks so much fun being rich and like full of courage. Talia returns to her father, and Ra's knows that she's been plotting against him. I mean, he always knows everything. They're all very open about it, which is healthy, I guess, but still there's the whole ending the plague that is humanity thing that Ra's is trying to do. And she tries to play coy, but he gives the orders to have her plane search and to have his goons search around the southern part of the island that she spent a little bit too much time, kind of near before she landed. You can't get much past this old bitch. And on the southern part of the island, where the goons are swarming around, Batman, at terminal velocity at this point, just bowling balls his way through 3 goons at once. And man, my ribs hurt just thinking about that.
Yeah, but he's liquefied their insides. They're water balloons now, not people.
Oh yeah. And that's what you get for working for an insane 500-year-old man. I mean, come on.
Sure.
Sure. And clearly and literally on a mission, Batman takes care of the rest of the cadre of goons that was sent his way. I wouldn't say he's having fun doing it, all grim face and all, but I'm having fun reading it. And sneaking into the lab facility, disguised as an old shack, Batman's shadow looms over these creep-ass scientists. Back to family dinner. Family is important. As the 21st century's most popular religion, the Fast and the Furious film franchise tells us. I'm only including this because I think Vin Diesel should play Ra's, and then, the next time they want to put him on the screen, I just think that'd be kind of funny.
That'd be a terrible casting, Chase.
I mean, yeah.
Cumberbatch is Ra's.
Okay. That's actually pretty good. Good.
That's my pick.
Talia admits that she failed in her mission to stop her father, and her father informs her that the good doctor that she was seeking out, see last episode, Bat fans, didn't have the antidote anyway, and he knew that, which is why he allowed her little dalliance and knew she'd be back. It's a weird dynamic they have there. They really need some counseling. Then Raish launches into a beautiful adventure story villain monologue about how releasing this plague is his destiny. He's like full standing up, knocking shit over at the dinner table, shaking his fist. Like, man, fuck jumping out of a plane. I want to be a 500-year-old villain because it looks so much fun.
Yeah, he's really chewing the scene.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And then we get Batman in a clean suit. Batman is he's in his bat suit inside of a clean suit.
Excellent.
And he makes his way to a bomb-ass underground lab, the kind of which I would have in my dream home. But with the market the way it is, I don't think I'll ever be able to get there. But disguised by the suit, Batman tells the two working in the lab that someone has tampered with the suits and they have to get out now to decontaminate. As they leave, he plants a bomb and then he runs right back upstairs. And as soon as they're taking off the suits, looking around, being like, what the hell? They just get clocked in the face by Batman, which, you know, I'd almost feel bad, but you're trying to inhumanity. So, like, you know, you can go fuck yourself. And as he's dragging the unconscious bodies outside to pile up with the other unconscious bodies that he just made unconscious, that saucy bitch Raish just is giving him the littlest golf clap. And he's happy that Batman's there because he's worthy to survive the coming Holocaust. And it doesn't seem to he doesn't seem to be bothered by him trying to stop his supervillain plans. He's even wondering how Batman intended to stop. Oh, explosion. That's how he intended to stop you. Their bodies thrown back from the explosion. Raish is a little bit annoyed that his facility is gone, but he's still not worried. He already sent his top hench, Ubu, in Talia's awesome plane, heading to the mainland with the demon blood plague ready to set loose on an unsuspecting population. A quick backhanded fist to Raish and Bats is often running into the woods. Talia, single tear, starts running after him, but her dad stops her. There's no other way off the island other than her plane. There's nothing he can do now, except there's Robin and the Batwing. And Raish immediately sees his plans going up in smoke. Fuck this. In a fit of desperation, he picks up a gun and fires at Batman as he grabs the rope ladder thrown down from the jet. God, I love adventure stories.
Yeah,
and
so good.
Raish couldn't hit shit. He accepted defeat and supposes that destiny has chosen the Bat once again. In the shadows, he and Talia make their escape. Okay, so the Batwing and Talia's plane are the only plane designs allowed to exist anymore. I can't not have a Batwing, you know, now that I think about it. They're chasing after Ubu in the lovely prop plane. And once again, Batman just jumps from a plane. This dude loves jumping from planes. He makes quick work of Ubu, but not before complimenting him on how he, you know, enjoys his never give up spirit and attaching a grappling hook to his back as he's quickly hoisted up out of the plane by the Batwing. The vial of demon's blood is secure. The case hasn't been tampered with. He radios to Robin, and Robin quips back, I guess you could say, case closed, huh? And Batman doesn't get the joke or doesn't acknowledge the joke. Listen, I'm not sure. He's just like, yes, Robin, the case is now closed.
My headcanon is Batman does not get the joke.
Yes, it's much funnier that way. And
Yeah.
The case is closed, and they fly off into the sunrise with Ubu swinging above the vast expanse of the ocean. Nick, what'd you think of Batman and Robin Adventures issue 10?
It fucking ruled, Jason.
I'm
also like, I can't believe editorial decided they were going to do a big crossover event for what is it? Detective 700? Yeah, Detective 700. They're doing a big crossover event. Ra's al Ghul's going to be at the center of it, and they're going to do this plague thing, and it's going to be like remnants of the Clench, which was their previous crossover. So they're going to like try to like tie all that in, and they're like, this is going to be great, and we're going to hire Jim Aparo and Bill Sienkiewicz, and you know, like they're like, yeah, and then Batman Adventures just kind of like wanders in and is just like fucking amateurs, like
yeah.
Like Honestly, Batman Adventures 10 was beginning and end, 22 pages, kept it tight, was basically the same story, and like no fat, no muss, no fuss, just in and out, great moments, like powerful dialogue, dynamic Batman, like just fun all the way through. And I'm like, damn, why didn't they like save this one for a few months from down the line from Batman Legacy? Like it, by placing it in the same month as these other Ra's al Ghul books, I think they really did a disservice to these other Ra's al Ghul books, because Batman and Robin Adventures low key proven again to be like the better Batman book.
Well, yeah, wasn't that the whole thing of like, I think we even mentioned it early on of the show, of how in the original Batman Adventures that like there are a lot of like, professionals especially who are like, if they talk about their favorite 90s comics, they're like, fucking Batman Adventures, like, what are you talking about? This is like one of the greatest books of the 90s, and everyone is like kind of shocked of like, wait, the one based on the animated series? They're like, no,
wait, the one for
you
children?
Shut your mouth. Yeah. You shut your goddamn mouth. No, this is amazing. And like, yeah, I think it is. And like, I really don't know the like, yeah, they just have such a better handle on it. Like, I was also thinking of how you don't really need to have read the previous issue,
Right. Like they created a two-parter that you don't need, you don't need the previous issue. You're right. And you don't need to recap it. You're just like in the adventure.
Yeah. And which is like, it's not like, I will say this just to like give like, the rest of the Bat books just like a little bit of like, I don't know, credit. It's really hard.
Yeah.
Like it's not easy putting together a book like this. It's not like it just seems easy because they consistently seem to do it.
Yeah, right. I think that there's this thing where they're like, well, we got to make the main issues more complicated. And in trying to make them more complicated, we're trying to make them for an adult audience. And in doing those things, it's like they haven't figured out how to do that yet effectively. So a lot of the complication of like, we're going to make this feel real, like A, doesn't feel real, and B, like isn't fun. It's just not good comics. You know what I mean? Like, like Catwoman's issue and Robin's issue don't feel like good comics to me, because they're just like, oh, you can take it or leave it. Doesn't really provide new information. They just fly back to Gotham anyway at the end. So if you missed them, it's like not even worth it, kind of thing. And beyond that, it's like they don't even get any like new information or anything that could like help them. If you just read Batman and Detective, you'd just read Batman and Detective come next month and you'd be like, oh, they flew back to Gotham, and that's it,
Yeah.
And so it's like,
I guess even
if you're going to complicate it, like if you're going to put Robin and Nightwing in Paris for the Robin issue, make that issue like have some part of the story mechanically, like it needs to work together. And it just doesn't. I don't know. I can't tell if it's like, we talked about this last pod, and we've talked about it before, where it's like the 90s and they haven't figured out that like adults are reading yet, and they haven't figured out that like, oh, we're not really catering to newsstands anymore. It's like this transitional time, and it's like they're still not getting it right, and the Batman Adventures are still embarrassing them, and they even chose the same fucking villain this month. And it's like, shit, man. Like, you guys don't have to show your whole ass. Like,
yeah, I mean, you just have, I don't know. I really don't know what it is. I think my main theory is always the root of the problem. And I think the thing that maybe helped alleviate the problem somewhat as the years went on in mainstream books is I think that like writers on books, especially when they were expected to be on a series for like a while, like if
Mhm.
you're like, okay, like here you go, you have Detective Comics and you signed a contract, you're here for at least 2 years or whatever, right? Is
Yeah.
it seems like they allowed the writers to have a bit more freedom, you know?
Yeah.
Because like I know on bigger titles throughout most of the 90s, it was like joked that God, who's the editor on X-Men in the 90s? Is that Bob Levin?
I don't know. I
Shit.
barely know any X-Men stuff really.
I forgot. But anyway, but like the editor of all the X books like in the 90s though, it was like sort of this half joke that he's the one writing, because
Oh, yeah,
everything and
cuz
the
he's the one who's
continuity
like
and
orchestrating it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and I think that got like less and less as like the years went on, and so I think you probably had it might be why like Batman
I mean,
Adventures and Batman and Robin Adventures have like a bit more of a um easier time like being clearer at least because like you don't have
sure.
like
Yeah.
an editor
I think
reminding
that's
you that you
true.
have to have this person and that person and
I think okay. I think that part of what you said I agree with, part of what you said I don't agree with, which is that I think that Batman and Robin, by having a smaller circle of people, does have an advantage of clarity versus the like unwieldy kind of like, oh, we need to get 4 books on the same page for this a crossover event. But the idea that like editorial was stepping in the 90s and they're not really doing that now, yeah, I can tell you from experience that that is from my run that is not true.
oh well yeah, but it seems like that there's not as much. Well, you know what? To be fair, I guess like I still don't read like a whole lot of like more modern, like mainstream stuff.
Sure.
Like here and there. It's like I don't really ever
Yeah.
buy like a main book. I'll buy the mainstream books when like they let the people get weird. you know.
Yeah. Sure. Sure. Yeah. 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 You'll pick up that Trad Moore Doctor Strange thing, or like Mike Allred doing Silver Surfer, but it's like
Yeah. Oh,
beyond that, like the regular stuff, you're like,
yeah. It doesn't really interest me that much, man.
yeah,
I
I know
do
your
love the Mike
taste.
Allred Silver Surfer. God, Mike Allred Silver Surfer, and then I also immediately think of the Matt Fraction David Asia Hawkeye My Life as a
Oh
Weapon.
man, ah
Just
man, one of the best of all time, just burned
just
into
so
my
good.
brain. Yeah,
Oh yeah. Yeah, well and also though I think burned into so many other people's brains because like as soon as that came out, I just started to see all these like ads for like this superhero or that superhero that's like living in a hipster apartment, you know?
it's like no. That wasn't the thing that made it cool. The thing that made it cool
Yeah.
was Matt Fraction and David Aja.
And I still to this day because of that book in my head whenever I see Hawkeye, I always go, "Hey Hawkeye." Just
yeah,
he's
yeah.
Hawkeye.
Hawkeye. Yeah,
Hey
yeah.
Hawkeye. Oh man. So I think we're
So
on a we're already on our consensus of like what the best book of the
I was gonna
file
say,
is yet.
you think it's
Yeah.
Batman Adventures?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I think it's Batman Adventures. I think it like right behind it, mere seconds, photo finish, milliseconds, is Batman issue this month. What was it? Batman 533. Only because it's Jim Aparo and Bill Sienkiewicz, and I was just like eating it up, and
Well,
it had such a velocity through that issue that like
I did.
usually, and when I say that, what I mean is that every scene dovetailed into the next scene very easily, and it created a momentum. And Jim Aparo was really good at like capitalizing that on that momentum and drawing it very clearly and having it feel fun. And the thing is that a lot of these books, especially in the 90s, get bogged down in like brooding and word balloons and over explaining, and like Batman 533 was like none of that. It just moved. So I think that like credit to Doug Munch, credit to Jim Aparo and Bill Sienkiewicz on that, because they really nailed it. But Man, that adventure book is so good. Batman Adventures is just so good.
I had in all caps in my summary that, like, Batman in Batsuit in clean suit, Batman in Batsuit in clean suit, because I love that.
We've seen it before. It happened in the Clench as well. But man, every time it's Batman in his Batsuit with another piece of clothing on top of it, I'm always like, yes, more of this.
and I hate, and if you think I'm bringing it up too much on the show, you can cut it. But like, it reminds me of this scene from Venture Brothers, where like the episode just begins with them coming back from a Halloween costume contest, and and Hank is dressed up as Batman.
Yeah,
he didn't stick to the theme.
He didn't stick to the theme. Yeah, like they're all like what is it, like Wizard of Oz or something, and then he's just Batman.
Yeah,
it's so
I
good.
am the Bat. I'm the Bat. I'm the Bat. I'm the Bat. I just think about that whenever Batman puts on another suit over the bat suit. It's like,
yeah.
Well, I mean, I get it, but maybe that might be a little bit more comfortable before you. Okay, you know what you're doing.
Whatever.
You know what you're doing.
Yeah. Let me hit you with the stinger for the next issue of Batman Adventures and our next Bat Pod in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Alfred thinks there's a monster in the Batcave. Bruce thinks Alfred's seeing things until Dick seconds the notion. What secrets are lurking in the Batcave? Find out in Batman Adventures 11, Windows to the Soul.
Ooh.
Yeah, we're going to find out in 2 weeks.
Windows to your eye your eye sockets. Isn't that the windows to your soul? Is your eyes?
Yes. Yes.
Why
are we stumbling over this?
I don't know.
Is there a bit here, Jason? I don't think there is. We should probably just stop this podcast.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Someone will stop us eventually.
Jason.
Nick.
How do people get in touch with you?
Oh, Jesus. Excuse me. Oh,
through Jesus? Prayer.
Yes. You can get in touch with me through prayer, through chanting. If you think really hard, I can't guarantee, but I might have The Shining again. I don't know, but possibly.
Sure.
Or on Twitter, at King of Black Acid, or at World's Second Finest, where we try to post on Nick's Linktree. That's what.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You can find me there. Linktree.com/Nickfil.
That's what has all the Discord stuff.
All the Discord stuff, all the YouTube stuff, all the Twitch stuff. Although I haven't been streaming in a while. I do this thing at the end of the year where I kind of like reevaluate, and I'm like, I slipped into bad habits. Let's try not to do that again. And I think that my YouTube channel and my Twitch is going to maybe put out less extra things other than the podcast and focus more on comic books and art and less on video games. For a little while, I was thinking that like, quantity over quality. And now I'm like, no. We just got to focus into comics. And whenever I get time, I will make a thing and I will put it on YouTube. Or whenever I get time, I will stream some comics on Twitch. So yeah, you can find me in all those places. Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Thank you for listening.